Then start the meeting.
I was at the last meeting, so I can talk a little bit about this.
What we'd like to do is, first of all, we'd like to talk about the cannabis legislation. Can I get a second opening up the committee of the whole here? Thank you. Steph, you want to go through it?
I know Sam's the one who had a lot of questions on it too.
I know Joe's got some questions on it too, so.
I don't know if it would be easier. I mean, the changes are very clear. I mean, I strike through what we eliminated and then I only added a section. I mentioned at the last council meeting. The big change was there was some concern about the phrasing outdoor patios of restaurants and bars, whether or not that was public or private. The real intention was always referring to sidewalk cafes, which you can't have a sidewalk cafe unless you're permitted by the city. So it excludes those that is on city property. At private outdoor patios and bars of restaurants, it's obviously whatever that restaurant decides, but at least with respect to the city, we would just be excluding it on sidewalk cafes. That was the change.
Katie, you got questions? I'll go around.
Yeah, come back to me after.
Bob?
No, I don't have any questions.
Joe?
Yeah, just looking through with these public places, how many of these public places are already prohibited by state law? I mean, playgrounds are on here, for example, schools are on here, for example, so I mean, it seems like we have a mixed bag of areas that are already banned anyhow.
So the wording that I took was actually directly from our open container law. What is included there, and then I added obviously the sidewalk cafes, and I had to modify it a little bit. But a number of these areas are already, it is already prohibited via state law. It's currently prohibited in our parks, all forms of smoking. With respect to those other areas, the Clean Air Act prohibits, I think, most of these. But this would be a mechanism within our code to cite, so that when our officers go out, they can ticket, based on that.
I guess looking at this, so was the intent to be modeled after tobacco use or alcohol use, or both? Because it seems like there's a mix of taking certain aspects from tobacco use and open container laws.
Well, I think there's two components to this, and it is kind of a combination. I think the mayor's concern is, obviously, even though smoking cannabis is legal, there is a negative connotation to that, much like smoking tobacco, as it's portrayed to our youth. There's a second component to it, which is that it is an inebriating substance, much like alcohol. We don't allow people to wander around the streets with open containers. That is partially what the mayor is looking to do. So it's almost twofold with what it's addressing, the smoking component, but also the fact that people are inebriated. Much like alcohol, the actual cannabis legislation does not allow people to smoke and drive because it is an inebriating substance. And for those reasons, I know the mayor's mentioned a number of times to me, and I'm sure Mike can talk about this as well. At our parks, there are people that are just sitting there smoking marijuana in front of our children at public playgrounds. And it's not necessarily the easiest thing for our officers to cite, but
But that's the point. Isn't that already banned under state law? The example you just gave.
It is. I mean, there's a number of things that are banned on state law that we enact local codes and ordinances that we.
I guess looking through my issue is the legislative intent seems to be that the cannabis use and smoke is disruptive and harmful. So to add to the general safety of the city, that's the legislative intent. So an example I was thinking of is smoking a cigarette down Genesee Street. Is that banned under current Utica codes? I don't think it is, but it would be banned to do the same with cannabis. So in a way, you're implying cannabis smoke is more dangerous than cigarette smoke, and I don't
But
see the ban
again-
on that. I mean, that's
But again, I think because what we're talking about is not necessarily drawn to smoke, it also has the, you know, we don't want people drinking in public that,
Inebriation.
yeah, so there's two components. There's the smoking part of it, but then there's the inebriation part of it. And it's very hard to make the comparison that one, it's most like smoking and it's most like alcohol. It's a combination of the two, which is why this is kind of a draw between smoking in public and, you know, the intoxicating effect of it, you know, in public too.
okay. I'm all set for now. Thanks.
Dennis?
No, I'm good. I think I saw, a release from one of the other cannabis shops opening today. I think it was on Facebook, I'm not sure.
Possible,
Yeah, on Riscony Street,
yes.
I think they're planning on
the 19th.
Wednesday being their opening day, but they've been doing soft openings.
Oh, okay.
as well.
the one in
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're trying to get it out, you know, a little bit more advertising. That's not medical, that's full-blown cannabis.
Correct.
Yeah.
You all done, Ben?
Yeah, I'm done.
Joe?
No, I'm good. Are we planning on voting this out tonight? That's my only question. Are we planning on voting on this?
Well, I'm gonna discuss it with Joe, see if he wants to, if he's got more questions. Go ahead. I'm good. Sam? I had a question. It said any highway, street, park, sidewalk, and cemetery. No, cemeteries are private areas, right? So I
This
mean,
is-
how can we tell
Well-
someone that?
Well, there's two things. Some of these, if they're in a public place, then that's included. If it's private and it's privately owned, then this does not apply to that entity. So if you had a, families, yeah, it doesn't apply to those. This is city-owned, public property.
Well, do we own any cemeteries in the city?
Yeah, the Weaver Cemetery. State owns
I mean, I don't think we even own a cemetery in the city.
Again, some of this language is also pulled, as I said, I took the language of a definition of a public place from our open container ordinance.
Right. But I don't think you could tell anybody that they can't smoke marijuana in a cemetery. I mean, I wouldn't, but I mean, I can't.
I mean, just like this, there's no dogs allowed in the cemeteries, it's like a, I could put that policy on it, take no smoking weed,
Yeah,
Forest Hill Cemetery.
I mean, I just don't see where that's gonna,
But isn't Forest Hill Cemetery or Calvary Cemetery?
Those are
They're not
private.
They're not, they're private.
they're private, yeah.
It's like a secret
I mean, if they wanna ban it, go ahead, but that's not something that we can do.
Well, again, theoretically, if in 2 years the city acquires a cemetery and we have a public cemetery, this would apply to that cemetery.
That's like.
Last cemetery we owned was French Road, I believe. So-
If you wanna eliminate the cemetery provision of that, that would be fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't want the cemetery.
Like the ISIS.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wish
They
their own.
have their own board of directors.
Transportation facility, what's a transportation facility?
Bus stations, train stations. That is, I can tell you right now, we can take all these out. It does apply, Clean Air Act basically prohibits smoking everywhere. So most of these things are included in that definition. We're just repeating them here. If it's a problem to repeat them, then we can take it out, but,
Why don't we just put per the Clean Air Act then?
well, if it's per the Clean Air Act, most bars and restaurants will not be having people smoke marijuana in their restaurants or outside of them. So,
The cigarettes don't apply to that,
no, cigarettes apply.
to the clean air,
So,
so they
yeah.
can't there too, is what you're saying? Right, anywhere within 20 feet.
Well, it's not anywhere and some restaurants may not enforce it, but to be in compliance with the Clean Air Act, if you want to have an outdoor patio and allow people to smoke, there are certain conditions that have to be met in order to be able to allow for that. Smoking marijuana would fall right into that. And my understanding, most of these places either don't meet them or they don't care. But the only people that we're talking about here, at least with respect to, is the sidewalk cafes, which are, you know, within the city. But those are not technically allowed unless they have a city permit, to be on the city right away.
Take the cemeteries out, and that's it.
And Jack, when you're all set, I have a few more questions too.
Everybody happy if we pull the cemetery out? This is good?
I mean, I still have a lot of questions. That's,
Oh, go
so
ahead.
yeah.
Thank you.
So there's 4 things that kind of came up tonight that I'll just go through really quick. On one hand, this is about public inebriation, and that just doesn't make sense to me when we're talking about, obviously you can take edibles and people can still be inebriated. You can have a drink, go out in the street and still be inebriated. So people are allowed to be drunk in public. It's just a matter of fact. It's already legal to, like we said here, you can't smoke and drive. It's already illegal in the parks currently. So if we're already struggling to enforce those rules, that's where I get confused of what enforcing even more is going to do for us. What?
In the parks, you can't even smoke cigarettes.
Right, yeah, you shouldn't with any of it.
Legal.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. That's already exists, so that's good.
Well,
I'm not.
What do you mean?
So I just-
It's legal in the parks. It's
No,
not-
they said that people were smoking marijuana in the parks, and
Well-
that's something that's already legal.
So I just want to clarify, so the clean.
Illegal, are you saying
Illegal.
illegal?
Illegal,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, I'm
No,
sorry.
not
So
allowed.
I want to clarify, so there's a couple ways things get prosecuted. Either it gets prosecuted by the DA's office, or it gets prosecuted by us in city court.
Yep.
A noise violation gets prosecuted in city court. Okay. Our officers are not prosecuting things that are, if it's New York state law, if it's a violation, I have to look, but there's certain things that they're not citing based on that. So having it in our code, open containers they're citing in our code, it's in city court. It's not anything.
I guess I also want to add, with marijuana in New York State, odor cannot be used as probable cause. So how will our police officers be enforcing this?
Same way that,
How are they going to tell the difference if it's a cigarette, a vape, a marijuana, if you can't use odor as probable cause as evidence?
well, if you,
That's just a piece of this that I would like, I don't know if we talk with UPD also or hear them out from that
well,
standpoint.
cigarettes looked entirely different than some marijuana. But again, it's just as if you're having an open container. You may not be able to tell if it's a can of soda or a beer, and our officers manage that.
Okay, I just want it on the record with them. And then the other thing that I struggle with this legislation is I have people who live in apartments that they don't have any, they can't smoke inside. They have medical reasons to smoke marijuana, they have recreational reasons to smoke it, and they do use public spaces, not parks, but if they're out on the sidewalk and where anybody else is smoking a cigarette, that's been the biggest concern and complaint I've had, and I don't know how we address that.
I got a question on that. Let's say somebody has to smoke medical marijuana. That doesn't preclude them, they would also be arrested or fined if they're outside smoking medical marijuana?
Well, much like anything, I guess there is some discretion with officers in prosecuting offenses. There's no exception in this right now for that, but I guess theoretically, if that was the case, I mean.
Well, then maybe we should have put that in there.
Well, I think,
Well-
like you said, a judgment call, just like a
Yeah,
speeding
but
ticket.
sometimes you're gonna get a cop that's not a happy cop. Sometimes you get a cop that's in a bad mood. Might get a cop that might not like that guy.
Remember,
I mean, you gotta make these things black
Yeah,
and
but
white.
I-
You just
but-
can't,
but
you
the
just can't make them.
But I would think that if you any cop, a guy pulls his medical marijuana card out, he's not gonna give them a ticket.
It's whatever our
I'm
laws
hoping
say,
that's
though.
the case.
but.
But who's to say that they won't?
I hope our cops would, I got faith in our cops.
We don't have to hope, we can,
I do too, Frank, but
Don't sound like
it's either gotta be black, it's either gotta be a law or it isn't a law.
we don't have to
Well,
hope, we can legislate
I
it.
can tell you from a legal perspective, the more exceptions you put into certain pieces, the more complicated it can get with the exceptions. So it becomes more gray when you add exceptions or you don't add exceptions, and that's just, you know,
How many city court issues have we had with this already? Has anybody ever got fined for it yet? Never member ever got a ticket?
For marijuana usage? No, but I can tell you that it's a major issue,
Yes.
a major issue.
I remember when we did this legislation, chief of police said you couldn't enforce it because by the time his officers got there, there's only so many cars on a shift. There's cigarettes out, whatever's out, you know what I mean? And they just waste manpower. That's what he said.
Well, you know, some of these things, I mean, we brought a couple things, I mean, this was, you know, even last year to the council. You know, it's another tool for officers to use, you know, if they should, you know, if they show up at, you know, a park and there's a number of people who are, you know, smoking, I mean, you know,
It's good.
but it's a concern of the mayor that, you know, at our parks and our public facilities where there are children and people playing baseball fields, people are just smoking, getting in their cars, there are children around.
But this is the part, I don't mean to cut you off, but the parks, it's already illegal, so what are we doing? This is, why add more laws when this already isn't being enforced?
Well, again,
What does a marijuana law do for this?
this would be in our code. We have a number of things that are state law that we then enforce through our code because we adopt something secondary to that. They'd be citing our code.
And what are they citing now to?
They're
when somebody-
they're not issuing tickets for this right now.
Why? We could literally take care of the problem right now.
I don't,
Because it says cigarette smoke, not pot.
No, but if it's anybody in a park, that should not be happening. I would hope that everybody's taking care of it and there's no smoke around our children around, whether marijuana or cigarettes. And that's my concern.
I don't have an answer for you to why they're not enforcing it, but like I said, I know the mayor has, it's a huge issue for him. You know, within the parks, there's been a number of complaints, and he's trying to get ahead of it. I know New York State is in the process of passing something similar, at least the last I looked, there was legislation to prohibit smoking in public, that was filtering through. Whether or not that actually gets passed is a different story. But it's not, you know, we're not just, you know, many cities, you know, towns and villages are looking to prohibit, in their code, you know, marijuana smoking, you know, in public areas.
I just don't see the point in this, but I will, I'm all set with the floor, thank you.
For bringing it out?
Well, I'd like to take away I see an issue, and I'm usually not an issue guy, but I do see an issue with the medical marijuana here. I mean, if the guy's out in front of his thing, or if he's in a park smoking medical marijuana, is he legal or isn't he legal to smoke medical marijuana in a park?
There's no smoking, there's no exceptions to the New York State or Clean Air Act if you have a medical marijuana card.
But I guess I still don't understand do we need to fix or correct anything with cigarette smokes too for the parks to help enforce this?
I don't think people smoking cigarettes in the parks is the problem. It's people smoking marijuana in the parks that is the problem.
But can we just correct our legislation where we say no smoking in parks and add marijuana to that?
There is no smoking in parks.
Okay.
But it's the other areas of the city that are also posing concern to the mayor.
We cut off one thing, we hit that goalpost, now we're moving to another one. But if it's about parks, I'm with everybody on that. We already have the tools to enforce that, and we should. But if it's about other stuff and it's about inebriation, like, let's focus on that debate. But I don't understand. I'm with you on this, Jack, as well. I would like to see some sort of medical exception if we're going to do this.
What are the standard medical exceptions?
I'd have to look. I don't know that there are.
It's a good question.
I'd have to look. I don't know.
Smoke is smoke, so if there's no smoking in the park, medical or not, you gotta go someplace else and sit.
Yeah,
in the car.
but the problem is that there isn't any, if you can't smoke in your building and you have a medical marijuana license, what are you gonna do?
You can't smoke in your building.
But then where are you gonna smoke?
Well, I don't think any apartment, you own an apartment, they don't tell you can't smoke in your apartment.
No, they do. You're not allowed.
Like 55 and above, Skylar.
Kelberman, you're not allowed to smoke inside the link.
Oh, for a rental, yeah.
Well, some of these places, you can go outside and smoke, and that's not necessarily public area.
So if you're on your sidewalk out front, that won't count?
Well,
Not in the property.
it depends. Some people have privately owned, some people don't, first of all, don't have sidewalks. If you walk outside your building and it's a sidewalk on the side of your building that's not city owned, it's not on the city right away.
I have 19 apartment complexes. When I say apartment, I'm thinking these apartment complexes with 100+ apartments, and they don't necessarily have a backyard to access or anything like that. So it's the open spaces where people normally smoke a cigarette is where they go.
It's private property.
It could be private property.
Municipal law or municipal housing might have their own policy on that.
I mean, I think this is still premature, and there's still more to think through with some of this. We have the
Joe, what do
link.
you think on this?
No, I was just gonna mention, I mean, I get the twofold aspect, the smoke being disruptive and the inebriation aspect. But then we went back and struck the public intoxication aspect from the legislative intent. So as it reads right now, the
Well-
legislative intent is specifically and solely toward the smoke being disruptive. And it
Well-
wants the council to, this piece of legislation asks that the council finds that cannabis use and smoke is disruptive and harmful and contributes to the creation of a public nuisance. I mean,
That-
that's what's being asked of us to find.
Well, that language is, that language is still the mayor holds that to be true, but it was my understanding based on a discussion several months ago with the council, that language was problematic to them. You know, because many of these individuals are not necessarily rambunctious and rowdy. Although I have a different, opinion to that, that's why that language was put in there. You know, so that can go back in, I know that but that was taken out based on discussions with the council.
No, but my point is if we're saying the issues related to smoke in category A and inebriation in category B, and we don't even have in the legislative intent anything mentioning inebriation, I mean, it kind of takes that twofold argument. Now it makes this piece of proposed legislation in front of us just about smoke,
Then
which in my
add-
opinion is covered significantly by state law.
Then add that back in, the public intoxication. Like I said, that was taken out based on discussions with the council, you know, previously, as was the, taking out of, the language for outdoor patios, and restaurants and bars, because that was an issue.
I think another aspect of this is we're treating marijuana and cannabis smoke differently than tobacco smoke, even though it's treated the same in state law.
Mhm.
So under the public health law, it's included in one category, but here we're trying to separate it into two. So we're kind of going against what the state has defined in their public health laws, the two belonging in one category. We're trying to take the one category and split it back into two, it seems like. Because if this were to pass, you could smoke cigarettes in places where marijuana couldn't be smoked. Even though under state law, it falls into the same category where they're both banned or neither are banned. But here we're saying, well, some are banned, cigarette smoke is not banned, while cannabis smoke is in certain places. So we're kind of conflating state and proposed ordinance too. I mean, that's.
You wanna solve this all, an easy solution is you take the no smoking policy that you have in the books and you cannabis to it. I mean, really, that's, I don't wanna say anything, you guys do what you want, but that's the easiest.
Well, it seems like that's what the state did do under the public health law. They took the existing law and
They
added.
still have municipalities implement it on their own. That's part of that. That no smoking legislation came from the state policies that the county implements, cities implement, and so on and so forth. They regulate it based on that.
And
That's the legislation that we have on the books.
And again, I
So
guess.
if you really wanted to discuss this at any further lengths, because I don't care what you guys do, but my suggestion would be to take the one that's on the books and add cannabis to it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I should clarify that presently, the no smoking is very limited in what's in our code. It's not as expansive as this.
Right.
But it does touch on all those components. Doesn't touch on cemeteries, but it touches, like, you shouldn't smoke in kids' playgrounds, you shouldn't smoke in
It does.
during youth events, you shouldn't smoke
It
here.
is pretty
I mean, that language was even struck to the extent that I wanted it to be, but that was a discussion with the council back then, and I know even when I was off the council, you added vape smoke to that. I mean, so we're sitting here for lengths of debate. Why don't we see what we have in the books, add the cannabis to the no smoking legislation, and if we see that it's not working, then move forward with this legislation. That would be my suggestion. And then you get that cannabis component on the books. If it's not working to the extent that you want to, then obviously we could amend it further.
I sort of got to agree with it.
That sounds like something.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the way to do it, huh?
I agree.
I mean, in that way, Steph, if the police department and so on and so forth still feels that that's not to the necessity that they need, and maybe we can even amend that legislation, but we've already have something on the books, and to sit here and debate this when we know that it's needed, and we can get to a couple of those components, and we can pass that tonight. If you see that it's not fit and it's not utilizing what we need it for, then we can come back to this table, and I have no problem supporting what you need, the police department and the administration, or whoever may need in order to do it.
With that in front of me, I think the biggest pieces you're missing are, you know, street and sidewalks. I think that's a big component of
That
this.
falls under the permit policy though, that when you have a permit, and you cannot, if the city approves that permit within those links, it states that there should be no smoking in those components. Right now in the city.
Right, but even without even beyond permitted areas, like even beyond,
Like
you
what?
know, outside of a restaurant.
It's
Yeah.
in there. Okay,
Move on to something else.
yeah, we'll move to something else, I'll give it.
Well, the only way to move on is the next thing is on Harbor Point. Do they plan on showing today?
I have not had a response.
Joe, but you went, right?
What's that?
You went to the meeting? You're on the board?
Yeah.
I didn't know. You mentioned that you would fill people in too.
But that's the only two things that I had planned today, was discuss
What?
that and Harbor Point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think,
Right now.
I think it's best to just to reschedule.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you got to, yeah.
I can give you stuff, but I don't have all the.
And you gotta sell the URA property, right?
Yeah, we're just gonna pull them out though.
They committed.
And if it doesn't work, then we'll take it up, right?
Why just so long?
There's other ways to ingest medical
Yeah,
marijuana,
when's you
though,
gonna
right?
close that?
Other than smoking,
Joe, what's going on?
right? You're not denying them medical marijuana by not allowing them to smoke it in their apartment.
There are edibles, it's not the way everyone else consumes it.
So,
We all
no,
have to make choices.
so we're not gonna, so Harbor Point's not coming today, right?
Looks like they're not.
All right, so the only other thing I had here was,
Yeah, no, I'm just sure with that.
we had a discussion on, for the next two meetings would be July 17th and August 7th. Is everybody okay with those?
Yep.
Okay. Joe? You all right with that, Dennis?
Yeah.
All right. Joe?
I'm good.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna we'll pull that out and put those in. And, we got a couple I think, are these URAs going? These two URAs, you gonna pull them out?
We're gonna pull those out for the.
Okay, so ordinance 10 and 12, right? Is that what they are?
Yep.
I got them on the bottom here, is that what those are?
I think they're different numbers.
All right.
13 and
All right,
13 or 11.
all right.
I don't know.
What are we in the committee of the whole? 12 or you are a proper.
10 and 12, yeah, so they had 10 and 12.
Mine is still 10 and 13.
What's that?
But, yep.
What's I got on here?
One's for 37.50 and the other's for 250.
All right. So, I guess, we're just gonna wait for Sam here and then we'll hold this up.
Are we adjourning? We adjourning? No.
Well, let's see what she says. She's getting something.
Oh.
Stephanie asked me, they asked me to look at all the schools. Brown superintendent. He sent all the information through. I looked at, drugs from using.
Mhm.
And I did. And they said they sent all the information through about to their engineering department. Because everybody said you nobody knew much about it.
Well,
Well, we didn't know anything about it, which is a big disconnect.
That's the first I heard, when she told me, so I called the school, so I got a hold of the right person, and they told me Lobella was handling that, and they sent it to our engineering department.
did they give you a reason for why they want it?
He didn't have a reason.
Yeah.
He was superintendent of grounds, he knew nothing. At first I talked to the principal, he knew nothing. I went to the superintendent of grounds.
It was sitting in planning, from what I was told.
Yes.
It's been sitting in planning, and much like a few other things,
Jack.
they take planning's approval.
I'm just gonna leave, say again?
The hospital just next week, without even having an engineer.
Never made it through his calendar.
Well, I know
And wants to know what Vin Gilroy said.
planning had
Said nobody's
issues
there.
because
We'll
it's
reschedule
pretty
for
large.
July 17th.
It's a huge cut. However,
Okay, so you're gonna.
it's 20 feet more than what the current.
Nobody had a reason why.
And I know the chief of staff was going to, no, back up. I was looking at you, but then I said, well, the chief of staff a lot today. And retract. I had the chief of police was gonna take a look at it, and Chief Ingersoll was in on it as well, for weighing in on anything like that, cause, most times it seems
He never had it on
like
his calendar.
these are the people that are being skipped, you know, what's fire look like, or.
Sam, you got anything worthwhile there?
So,
Bring forward.
and then engineering. So when we put brakes on it,
Now
now,
I got 11 and 13.
now it's moving, so.
Yeah.
back.
I asked why.
Yeah, I know, yeah, and I know that's one of the issues that the board had, is that no one could give a reason. Is it fire, is it just to have? Is
Listen,
it-
I just want stuff.
Excuse me, I'm gonna leave that in committee. We're gonna look into it a little further on information on this, and to see what we really wanna do with it, all right? All right, that's, Harbor Point is not, gonna be here. We're rescheduling for the 17th. And, so
Paul Romano.
I've already taken care of it.
Vin Gilroy.
Yep.
You need both of them.
Yep. All right. Anything else, Rita Holt? All right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. We're adjourned. What's next? 10 minutes.
the meeting for the pre-caucus.
But they had specific.
I see there's only 4 things in the packet. The first thing is the authorization sale of beer and wine to Utica Center for Development. Utica Center for Development, July 4th celebration. Thursday, July 4th, 2024, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., Proctor Park, 900 Culver Ave. Anybody have any questions or problems? No? Move on to the second one. The second one is proposed by Councilmember Aiello. It's an ordinance adopting section 2-1802 of the City Utica Code of Ordinance about the flag.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh, yeah, I was just
Would
speaking
you like
on,
to?
just looking to put this into committee and we can discuss it. I noticed the memo said, in absence of there actually being an established policy legislated, the mayor makes his own guidelines, and that's what we're looking to do then, is establish a flag ordinance that we can raise the flags for the Shirtlift Boston court case and all of that. So just looking to put that in committee. If people have questions, open to them now.
I just want to briefly, I provided the memo just so everyone was clear, but I just want to make it clear to everyone, what is proposed doesn't solve the issue and makes us liable. So I just want to put that out there. This is not what the city of Boston did. What the city of Boston did was they excluded all groups from making any requests for, at least my understanding, making any requests. It's strictly the city making the determination. But what sets it up, at least from my reading of the proposed ordinance, is no requests for flags will be denied based on sex, religion, national origin, etc. That doesn't specify if it's the applicant or the flag. And again, you know, this got brought up with a number of times in the law office, as well as it was relayed to the mayor, which is the reasons why certain provisions were removed from the policy. If you choose to raise one flag, you have to raise another. So for example, if a group comes in and wants to raise the pro-life flag, you have to raise it, and then if the group comes in and wants to raise the, you know, anti-abortion, et cetera, whatever it is, flag, you have to raise it. Same thing with any other groups. If you have, you know, someone wants to raise a pride flag, and then someone wants to raise a anti-pride flag, if they make that request and you deny it, that is where we run into issues. So what the mayor was looking to do was to eliminate that, and not have various groups making these requests, or only if groups want to request to raise a flag, only be allowed to raise the flags of national origin or recognized flags. So.
I was at the State Fair 2 days ago for a blues concert, and they had the gay flag there, flying high, and so if the state's willing to do it, I certainly don't understand why the city of Utica has to have something special.
So I will clarify. So if the flag policy of the city was that the city can choose to raise whatever flag it wanted to, that it will not accept requests from any group, the city can choose to raise whatever flag it wants. But right now, the policy allows various groups and individuals to request raising flags. If you allow one group or one person to request to raise a flag of one thing, you have to allow all the other groups, even if they're one against each other, you have to allow those. If you just want a policy, whether that's through the common council or whether that's the mayor, to allow the city to be able to raise whatever flag it wants, then the policy should just read, the city is choosing to raise the flags. We don't accept groups from whatever. It's the city or the common council makes the decision to raise certain flags.
But how is the state of New York handling it then? Because they,
And they're doing it through
it
government
is.
speak.
It certainly is.
So they're not doing it upon the request of a group or an individual. They are doing it as government speech. So the council, through government speech, or the mayor, through government speech, can choose to do what they want. It's when you are considering the request from a specific organization to approve or deny, that opens it up that you have to approve or deny all of them. So that's the difference. So again, a policy can be chosen, and I believe, you know, and there's still interpretation. Of course, this went to the Supreme Court, so there's still interpretation, and courts have agreed and disagreed. But I believe what the city of Boston did is they eliminated groups requesting to raise flags and just decided as a municipality what ones they were going to honor and what ones they weren't as government speech.
Mike, how's New York State handling it if they have that flag up there? Right in, as soon as you walk in, boom, it's right next.
I don't know who specifically
Well,
chose to.
it's the New York State Fairgrounds.
I don't know who
And it's on their
specifically
buildings.
for the fairgrounds, but it could very well be done through government speech of the governor or one of our,
I think
the
what
assembly
should,
or senate.
I think what should be clarified is it's not a question of what flags we want to raise. It's a question of how we're going about doing that. So if the city is all for raising flags for things that we don't support or things that we don't want promoted on our flagpole. So again, if someone wants to raise the Nazi flag, if someone wants to raise, you know, whatever it is, and they make that request and you deny it, but you allow someone else of a different group or a similar group, that is where we're running into the problems. That's where Boston ran into the problems. This is the issues that you're gonna have.
Well,
So
I
I
would
have-
think that if the state of New York was asked to put up a Nazi flag at the state fairgrounds or on their
That
public
didn't go over
buildings,
that.
I think it would have been denied.
It probably would,
Right, but
and they
I-
probably get sued.
Right, but I also don't
Yeah,
believe
I
that the
think-
state
I
of New
think
York.
we're muddying the
I don't
waters
believe
here.
I don't believe the state of New York has any flag raising request out there.
Mr.
So
Chair-
that's not a thing.
This is.
Mr. Chairman, I believe the judge wanted to make a comment on this.
First of all, I don't agree with anything that anybody said here tonight. There are two things I would like to say about this. The flag thing was raised by a council person. The one about the, what I call mini monuments, the portraits of veterans, there was a municipality that said they couldn't do that and wouldn't do that because it violated the Constitution, which is giving aid to a private organization. The second-class cities law is different. That Utica is a city and it's a corporate body. Its board of directors is the common council, and the executive officers are the people who carry out the laws of the city of Utica. Our charter clearly, on a number of places, says that all of these things are powers of the common council. Now, for years that I can remember, we had a application, and it's been the same application probably for 30 years, and people would come and raise the flag. And there never was a controversy of that, and no question that everybody thought the mayor probably should be the proper person president, but he works, represents the city of Utica, and although he is not directed by the common council, there are portions of the law that says it can be. But that isn't what happened here. The flag raising has been a tradition here for as long as I've been an attorney and been living in Utica. That's number one. Number two, Charlie Brown was correct when he sent down a little revision to the application, and he said, I think, I'm quoting him out of context, that he did so because there's really no legislation, as you correctly said, about flag raising. The flag raising is just a tradition. And I've never heard anybody ever raise any problems about it. So it was never codified, but it's specifically mentioned in the charter that flags, banners, and all things are the province of the Common Council. The legislation here says the mayor, if he wishes to do a flag raising and be there, fine. If he doesn't, he can send you if he wants to send his chief of staff. But somebody from the city has to be there when the flag's raised. And the flag will only be raised when there's been a application made, a time set, and the persons are notified. You cannot refuse one group and allow another in this day and age. And also, I don't agree with the attorney of the municipality who said that we could not put those pictures up. Those pictures are monuments. Now, we can't have statues, 100 statues, but they are mini monuments. The only part of the city there, and which are paid for, by the way, by the people who are pictured, their friends and family. What we do is the mounting, but the mounting is a public safety issue because these are along the streets and highways of the city of Utica. So they have to be mounted properly, safely, so if a person's walking underneath those, it doesn't fall off and hit them on the head like a Boeing airplane whose doors fly open. So I put that in there because I read that article and I want to memorialize the, I call them many monuments. And monuments are specifically set forth and mentioned in the second-class cities law at Section 3, corporate powers. The city of Utica is a corporation, and as so, it has the right to do the planning and the construction of the parks, gardens, statues, monuments, erect statues and monuments, all of those things. These are all powers of the government under the second-class cities law. I don't think about the county law or town law or village law. And in addition, I say that they're monuments, and I think that they're legal. And if somebody read that article and thought they were going to challenge the city of Utica, I thought we'd memorialize them. Now, it's incorrect to say there's nothing about flags in the law. There is in the city of Utica because it's in our charter. And as a matter of fact, the general powers of the city of Utica's Common Council are great. They control all the parks. They control all the streets. They control all the monuments. They control all the statues. They control all the building of buildings. The fact that sometimes they let these powers lapse has nothing to do with whether they exist or not. There's a lot of reasons why common councils such as yourself, or even the mayor himself, doesn't go to court for every single item that comes up for the reason it's expensive and somewhat embarrassing. Like there was a suggestion once we sued the planning department, which we don't sue, common councils doesn't sue city departments. That came up and that fortunately didn't go anywhere. But I think that this legislation memorializes really something that has never been memorialized, but the issue never came up before. But you know, the flagpole is in Hannah Park. That's common councils anyway. And at Bailiwick, they decide what goes in Hannah Park. One last thing I want to mention. I won't identify the person, but I was coming out of church, and a lady who stopped me, who happens to be a very prominent Republican in the city of Utica, very close friend of the mayor's, and she said to me, "Are you telling me you're not going to allow the flag of Italy to be shown and flown on Columbus Day?" I said, I didn't mean to make light of it. I said, I doubt very much if that's going to happen. I'm sure the mayor will be more than happy to fly the flag of Italy on Columbus Day. I said, so your fears are related. So I think that there's sometimes a misconception, and Charlie Brown wrote a very good article that I keep in my folder specifically, where he talks about the separation of the executive powers and the legislative powers. Unfortunately, for some executives, They don't understand that the legislative powers of the Common Council of the City of Utica by its charter are quite broad, unique, and they're written. They're not suppositions. There's nowhere that says in our law that the flag is raised by the mayor of the City of Utica. There's no such legislation. And there was no need to have such a legislation. And the mayor cannot be forced and should not be forced to be there if there's a flag raising he doesn't want to attend. And it says so here. If he doesn't want to be there, have somebody else. But we have to have somebody from the city there because the raising is on city property. So, just a second. So I want to tell you that there was a mention about flags. Well, flags been flown there for as long as I have been a member representing this body, and they have been done in the same manner for all those years. And if they have something has to be memorialized, I am not going to do it on my own. I was asked to do legislation. I will say that the part about the portraits, I added that in response to a newspaper article that I read where someone claimed that that was unconstitutional, and in that particular municipality they would not put them up for that reason. We have them up, we're going to stay up, and I think unless there's a court action, I would be more than happy to defend it. That's all I have to say on the issue. What you do with the legislation is
Joe,
always
when you're-
the province of the Common
can
Council. Do you have a question, Mr. Aiello? Did you?
Thank you, Ron.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to say a couple things here. So, going by what the judge is saying, that over the years, all these different flags have always been flying there. However, over the years, there hasn't been all these different groups that have came up in the last 5 or 6 years. So I just want to be clear on a couple of things. The way I understand the flag policy now is for a country and flags like that can be there. For us to keep putting ourselves out there, to have every other kind of group that wants to hang a flag for a day up and down, to me, does not make sense. I have no problem if the flag of Italy wants to fly, a country flag, any other type flags. But for us to keep putting all different flags, just the way Council Stephanie explained to us, that if you do one for one, you have to do one for the other, and it's a constant thing. That's just my opinion on it. I just, there was never, years back, as the judge was talking, 1,000 different groups that come out and come up with a different flag, a different group, over and over. So I think that's where we are with this. It's not a question of being for a group, against a group. If you put none there, you don't have to be tied up into it. So that's just my view on it.
I tend to agree with you,
Steph?
but I also said I put that last paragraph in there because if there's anything that is very active in the law today, is any form of discrimination. There were riots at colleges over Palestinian and Israeli groups. Now I think raising a flag for either one of them would be controversial. I agree. I said, but you'd have a hard time in the courthouse justifying a refusal. That's why I put it in there. I try to cover all the bases because if we ever get sued, the city ever gets sued, I want to make sure that at least we made an attempt to follow what I think is any kind of challenge that might come. And I disagree. I don't see a lot of flag raising going on anymore. If you'll notice, places like the Sons of Italy, the Polish Community Club, all those organizations that, and some that are so prominent, they hardly exist anymore. And I don't see that real diversity out there being a problem, because I've never seen it happen here, and it doesn't happen. I don't know how many flag raisings we have in a year. Does anybody know? I don't know. They're usually a good photo op for the mayor, because the mayor's always there usually, and I think that's one of the reasons why they did it in the first place. But it not only a civic thing, it also had a political reason behind it. Years ago, every mayor wanted to take a picture with the group of the people who were the city.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah,
Quick question.
so-
Did you write this legislation, Judge?
Huh?
Did you write this legislation?
Of course it did.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So then who actually approves if a request is made? Because it said the city's flag poles are not intended, only flags following may be displayed. All flag raising requests must be made in writing. At least 4 weeks prior to the requested date, applicants must fill out a flag raising request form at the office of the city clerk, or to be filled out and sent to the office of the mayor. So now we're implementing this policy, and now the mayor is going to accept or decline whether or not we can have a flag raising policy? Is that, or this whoever can fly a flag?
Well, I think that the application's made to the city clerk's office. It calls the mayor's office and tells the mayor, and the mayor has a choice to do whatever he wishes to do with that. But there's no forcing of him. But the approval of the application is almost pro se. I've never heard of it, ever one that was refused. I've never, all the years I've been here, I never heard of this issue coming up. It came up, when it does come up, say something. I remember Councilman Testa saying to me about something incorrectly. She says, how come you didn't say anything about this particular thing? My answer to that is very simple. I try not to be the common counsel. If you don't ask me a question, I don't.
Well, I mean, Judge, I think that that's a lack of understanding of our actual zoning code. And when you have alleyways getting redone that aren't done through scenic and historic, they're not done through a zoning board. You have, islands being put up. I mean, there's a number of issues that have happened that have been brought up. I mean, and we didn't ordain those. With that said, I do have to find this contradictory in some way. So it says.
If I can add to it too.
I just have the floor and I want the judge to answer and then you can have it. It says flag raising and ceremony events have been conducted on special days by representatives, members of foreign nations, organizations, and others who are part of the community of the city of Utica. It says the common council shall be provided with all documentation for the erection of any monuments for whatever purpose and shall enter. Now that's already in our city code. So that's something that has to go through approval through us no matter what. The other component is that it states that a flag raising class, okay, hang on, it says mayor of the city of Utica may attend all, if the mayor is unavailable, all flags must be flown, the flag will stay close. Okay, examples, if the application is requested after the completed flag raising application has been considered, a member from said office will contact the applicant to confirm. Okay. Then it says the city's flagpoles are not intended to serve as a forum for free expression by the public. Only the following flags may be displayed by the city as an expression of the city's official sentiments, okay? Then it talks about flags of state. Then it goes to state, so say for example, section D, it says other flags may be displayed in conjunction with official actions, ceremonial items, or proclamations of the city. So what if they deny that application? In the next component, it says, no request for a flag raising shall be denied based on sex, religion, national origin, creed, color. So basically you're saying that you can't deny any flag no matter what, even though that you're requesting to put that flag up, but it has to follow the sentiments of other flags may be displayed in conjunction with official action, ceremonial items, or proclamations of the city. Flags of governments recognized in flags. I mean, it doesn't even make sense.
Sam, is this what was on the books before?
No.
If I can.
It was actually I think it was two, I think maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 7 was added to it.
Okay.
If I could just provide a couple commentary, I may be able to clear a couple things up.
No, it doesn't.
First of all, as
No,
the
it doesn't
memo
really.
from Charlie says, if the council wants to adopt something that is in their full authority, they can do that. The mayor has no issue with that. The administration has no problem with that, but there should be some kind of policy. The policy that was in existence beforehand was a mayor's policy, it was an internal policy. If the council wants to adopt something, it would be in our code, and that's what it would be. I know Judge mentioned some issues with the veterans flags. I don't think anyone has any issues with those. I agree with the judge that I think it was a slightly different situation for the town or village that took them down. So we don't have an issue with that. Regarding the policy, there are a couple things. Provision number 7 is not in existence as it exists right now. But there's a couple things to recognize. The first is that in number 6, it says, only the following flags may be displayed by the city as an expression of the city's official sentiments. So if you have flags that I don't know necessarily that the city wants to be reflective of their sentiments, you will have to allow those because this is what the policy says. If the council wishes to adopt,
It doesn't matter.
if the council wishes to adopt a policy that the council says, we're gonna raise flags on St. Patrick's Day, we're gonna raise a flag on the first of the month for Pride Month, we're gonna raise a flag for breast cancer awareness. The council can choose that, and the council chooses what flags to be raised. That is the council's decision based on either a proclamation or a state holiday, etc. If the council,
Can I chime in?
sure.
But if you do it because of a request by a specific group, that's where you create a gray area and a situation where you can be liable to a lawsuit. If you just make those decisions as the council,
can choose to raise whatever flag they want.
Right.
If that's the policy, that they raise whatever flag they want, and they don't say, John Joe from X group wants to raise this flag, we're gonna grant that request, they can raise the flag.
Isn't it easier just don't raise any of them?
Councilman,
Well,
Bob,
You guys vote.
Bob, I really need
You
the
guys
floor.
have the power to vote on it.
All right, if
Well,
Stephanie.
my
thank you.
answer to that is very simple.
Judge,
How
Judge,
many?
I
how
still have the
many-
floor technically.
just a minute.
Stephanie answered it, so
How
I can have
many
one more.
this is a waste of
times-
time until I can finish this
How
part.
many times has any of that stuff happened in Utica?
what stuff?
That there was any controversy about anything like this? There hasn't been there. But, you know,
Judge,
once you do something that causes attention to go to an issue, that's when you have to face the issue. I'm eliminating all the issues. There are no applications of that sort. They practically don't exist. In fact, flag raising has become almost a lost art. I don't even see that many applications coming in over the
Judge,
years.
with all due respect, you say you don't want to act as the council,
Judge,
and then
But-
you act as the
but
council.
just-
Bob, can you?
So
point
how,
of
I'm
order?
asking you a question that somebody still hasn't been able to
If
answer.
I can speak on that,
If
because
there
this will
is-
answer the question. It's my
I'm-
legislation, and that's
Judge,
why I
or
never
can
got to
finish
speak on
now?
it from the
Because I
beginning,
still haven't got this clarification
because
from
we're
it.
gonna waste our time with what I'm about to say.
Right, but I want the judge to answer it since he said he
Yes.
wrote this, okay?
No.
Judge, so did you write it or did the judge write it? So, because I'm getting conflicting
It's
answers.
my
Did you
legislation.
write it?
We both.
Just a second.
With this,
What's your question, Counselor?
I'm trying to get there, and I.
if I can,
I-
because
I-
you're
I
wasting your
hear-
time. Right
I
now,
hear-
Judge,
Counsel-
Judge,
can
we're
I
wasting our
finish
time with
this?
you.
I never
Wait.
got to finish when I had the floor from the beginning, all due
She's
respect.
asking me a question.
I know, but it's
can't
also going
listen
to change
both
this-
of you.
By all
I
means,
will-
finish
I
it, and
will-
then
I
let me
will
have the
answer
floor.
anybody's question. I have nothing to hide here.
We're asking questions for things I'm about to clear up.
I don't propose. You propose. I don't, I
So-
compose.
so
I
let me-
do the best I can, but I try not to be,
I'm getting there.
political.
Number one was, it's conflicting, and number 6 and number 7 are conflicting. The policy is already, the application is already there. If somebody wants to go apply for this, they have that right to do that. What I'm saying is that if the common council is giving the mayor the authority, why are we listing A, B, and C of what he can do? Just say the common council has the authority. Why not just put the lawsuits right on the common council, and then you guys take the responsibility to do that? If you're saying you only have the authority to raise A, B, and C, why wouldn't you want to be at a flag raising ceremony? Why does the common council take on the responsibility to approve the applications? We'll change it on the application list, and then we'll start even more controversy amongst ourselves because we can't even agree on pieces of legislation, whether or not we want to agree of 5 people raising a flag inside the city. I think that if you really want to settle this all, and you've got the 5-person majority, take that, raise the flags yourself. Don't even put it on the mayor. And then just have 1 through 7, and then that's the end of the argument.
Well, my answer to that is nobody's gonna break a flag themselves, number one, that's on city property. Number two, I don't know why everybody's getting so excited over this thing. It's not that big a deal. And number three, it's a request by a council person. And I do what I'm asked to do, just like Mrs. Giorgio does what she's asked to do. She represents the administration, I do not.
So one person asked you, or did five?
And I'm telling you that I don't think, and the reason I picked the mayor, if the mayor's, the other thing didn't have a request if somebody wanted a proclamation from the common council. I stuck that in because if somebody wants a proclamation from the common council commensurate with this thing, of course, they would do it to their councilman and you will approve it or not approve it.
The mayor also
You
has
had
the
a
right to
question.
write
yes, I need to have the floor.
Why don't we let
This
Mr.
is
Chairman,
finally.
Ms. Aiello, do you have a
We,
question?
so I have
Finally,
the
you had to
City
wait
of
your turn.
Boston ordinance here. This is what they passed August 10th, 2022, after the Supreme Court ruling. There's a component I think that would be useful to us that we could and should add. Now, under the other flags section, it says the city's flagpoles are not intended to serve as forum for free expression by the public. The following flags may be displayed by the city as an expression of the city's official sentiments. Of course, it lists essentially the same things we have, but they do also add sports teams. But there's a component here of pursuant to proclamation of the mayor or resolution of the city council, other flags may be flown by the city in place of the City of Boston flag. And if that's how we want to do this, then we can copy what Boston did with just the resolution from either the council. In the case of the Pride Association, if we would give them a proclamation, and then that would be in line with our sentiments to be able to raise the flag. And that is, if you want to copy it word for word.
I'm not gonna tell somebody what
Well,
flag
first
they
of all,
can use.
I'm not gonna draft it, but I guess
I'm-
for clarification purposes, if the council chooses to do that, which is fine, they need to take out all of the other provisions that say you can make a request or you can file an application with the clerk's office and request a flag raising. You need to take all of that out. If you're choosing to do what Boston did exactly, then you need to do it as Boston did exactly.
Right, and yeah, I think that's.
Which is taking away the group request.
Did you read that in the Supreme Court ruling?
You just read it.
No, you just read it.
That's
With
what
the
they
group
said.
request?
Read the
No.
first
You mean the
sentence.
individual request?
Read the first sentence
Of which part?
of the
Right.
Boston.
So it takes it.
The City of Boston
Resolution.
traditionally displays?
No, read
The one you just read.
You just read it.
Read the first, couple lines.
Because-
The city's
so it-
flagpoles are not intended to serve as a forum for free expression by the public.
Correct. Which means.
Right, that just distincts freedom, like
No,
the
that
expression
means-
versus,
Right.
okay.
And then,
saying
and
that
then
it's-
keep reading, because it said, under.
I've had like First Amendment lawyers look at
listen,
this.
Okay,
You read the words, I'm just telling you.
Thank you,
I've
I
heard
understand.
the
It doesn't
words.
matter
Right
with
now-
that, that's a semantic,
Right
but
now,
that's,
right now, the flagpole serves as First Amendment speech. Whoever wants to raise it, it's their First Amendment speech. The way Boston did it is they made it, it's not public speech, it's the city's sentiment. So they're not endorsing what certain groups want. So right now, if we hang the Nazi flag up, the way this is written, that's the city's sentiment.
the city can approve or deny based off of what is.
Correct,
with
and when we
our-
deny it, the Nazi
Can I
group
also,
is gonna
I need
say-
to,
Hold on,
I need to
hold
add
on.
one more statement. Have not finished the floor. Thank you, Stephanie, for expressing this. People keep addressing what will set us up for a lawsuit. What would actually set us up for a lawsuit and what did happen is when the Pride Association put in an application back in February for their flag to be raised in June, like it has for the past few years. They called almost weekly trying to get answers. And then when they still didn't, they came in and sat in the mayor's office in April 29th for hours until somebody met with them.
It was not ours.
Okay, that's the problem then. And at that point, it said, no, there's a new policy. So the application they filled out, which had things like ceremonial items, but then when it came time to approve or deny, all of a sudden that changed. Those are things, I'm not anything else like faulting with that, but those are things that would actually set us up for a lawsuit.
There's a-
Copying what Boston did does not.
It does. The way.
Why
it is.
would Boston do it? Why would
And on top
Boston
of the
just
fact,
raise
what
the
happened
pride
to
flag
Catholic,
on June
Catholic
3rd?
week, this week, that week? I mean, there was other people that were denied.
What Boston did is they're
Or-
not
or
allowing.
not allowed.
They're not allowing, hold on.
Then what's the big deal with that?
There's no problem with that. I'm for that. We don't want groups coming in and making a request to hang a flag.
So who, if we want to raise the pride
If
flag,
you wanna, if.
it's just one
If
person.
KDIL says, we as the council wanna raise the pride flag,
So they would.
then you do that.
But a group could still
But
lobby
you're
to their
not-
council person, and that's
Then
fine.
you can do that, but you don't have a formal policy where it's an application, it gets filed, and then it gets sent to the mayor to approve or deny. It's much like proclamations.
I'm fine with the proclamation part. Yeah, that's exactly what this would be.
But it's the same thing. You have groups that say, we want a proclamation for this. It would be the same for the flag raising policy. You cannot allow groups to come in and make a request to raise a flag.
But if the council wants to do it.
If the council wants to do it, then it's the council's policy.
Point of order, Bob, just for clarification. So the Satanic Temple asked Boston to fly flag after Supreme Court ruling. Boston has had a number of challenges with the legislation that they passed, the one that you're talking about. So go look it up a
I
little further
just,
before you
I am
include that.
meeting with,
Go
point of
ahead,
order.
send it to her. She obviously
Point
needs
of
it.
order.
Well, why don't we just put this in committee?
We will.
Have a committee meeting just on this, because it's not gonna be resolved tonight. And it's not gonna go anywhere tonight anyway, so, you know, we beat this to, just put it in committee. Jack, we'll call a committee meeting just over the flag, and we'll decide from there what to go, because we're
And
not
Jack,
getting
yeah.
anywhere tonight.
And I have a First Amendment rights lawyer that would like to speak with us on this and
The
share their
only thing I
opinions.
got is, the only thing I
Stick
got
to
on this
engineering.
is that, it says over here, looking it up, says on June 1st, 2024, Governor Kathy Hochul issued a proclamation designating June 2024 as LBGT Pride Month to celebrate the LBGT community in New York State.
Alright, so that's
Now, if you take
And
a look
the
at line
city of
6,
Utica, the mayor did the same thing. We issued
I'm
a
pissed off that the
proclamation.
council didn't put a proclamation recognizing it, that they're making a big deal of a flag.
Can I finish my statement?
Then you make one.
It says, so if you take a look at paragraph 6 here, flags recognized from federal and state holidays, and that's recognized.
The mayor did a
That's
proclamation.
the mayor recognizing,
So
that's
but this is,
the
we can
governor
say we can put a
recognizing.
flag up.
I'm
flags
not even
for
getting
federal and state holidays. If you look at 6B, it's telling us we can do it.
It's also saying that you can't discriminate
Because I don't think that Kathy Hochul is gonna designate
She's
September as
doing it as
Nazi
government
month,
speech.
right?
Right? Nobody's denying that there isn't a thing in government speech. But did she get a?
But it says here, Mike, I'm not interrupting, but it says here, if you look at 6, paragraph 6, flags for recognized federal and state holidays. She's recognizing this as a state holiday for the whole month.
But she's
So
recognizing.
what's wrong with, if you take a look at B, flags recognized for federal and state holidays. On June 1st, 2024, Governor Kathy Hochul issued a proclamation designating June 2024 as LGBTQ Pride Month to celebrate the LGBTQ community in New York State. Shown results with holiday, all right? So all we're saying here is if you look at 6, once again, flags for recognized federal and state holidays. She's recognizing the whole month as a state holiday. So, chew on it.
Well, like I mentioned, let's put it in committee, we'll talk about it, it's not going anywhere tonight. Is there a problem in putting it in committee?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Well, we've got another piece to do.
We got 2 more pieces. Oh, sale, bill, mine, and the residents. Yeah.
We've got number 3, which is authorizing sale of beer and wine to the Utica Zoo. Name of sponsor, Utica Zoo. Name of the event, Brewfest. Saturday, August 3rd, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Location, the Utica Zoo, 1 Utica Zoo Way, Utica, New York, 13502. Any questions, problems with that? The last one I have here is number 4. Ordinance waiving residency for a new employee. It looks like the guy's coming from Herkimer. The city has conducted an extensive search and advertisement for the position of DPW laborer and is having difficulties finding qualified and hardworking candidates, whereas he would be an asset to the department and is very eager to learn and ambitious. Any questions, any problems, any? I don't see any. There's going to be 3 pieces taken out of committee tonight, which is 2 of them for public hearing. I just read it. I asked if there was any questions. Okay?
The residency waiver?
We can make that full council if you want. We've got three pieces to bring out. We're gonna bring out the announcement of the dates for the July and August meetings. Wednesday, what was it decided, July 17th, and the other one was August 7th. And that was that. We got two pieces for public hearing, 1014 Taylor and, Seymour Ave.
When is the meetings?
Any other questions?
Nope.
When is this? July and August?
I got a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
July,
Second.
July, August.
Thank you.
Good.
And we'll take a
Just so they can put the ID there. You know, it's not my lane.
Honestly.
All right, this meeting's been called to order. Today is Monday, June 17th, 2024. It's just about 7 p.m. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Right.
Aiello, Burmaster. Joseph Batar is acting as President Pro Tem tonight. Carcone, Irvin, Beatrice, Williamson, Classimo Testa, Lometico. Present.
Thank you. Please, everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for our deceased members of the council. Okay, first order of business tonight is the minutes from the previous meeting. Do I have a motion and a second to dispense the reading of the minutes?
Motion. I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Next order of business is public hearings. Tonight there are two. One for the sale of a property on Taylor Ave, the second for a lot located on Seymour and Leah Street. It appears we do not have anyone signed up for either of those public hearings. Next we have the public comment period. Looks like we do not have anyone signed up tonight for the public comment period. Any guest speakers tonight? Looks like no. Do we have any communication from the mayor? Okay. All right, so we'll move on to report of city officers. We'll start with UPD.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Corporation Counsel Attorney Stephanie DiGiorgio. Anything to report?
Nothing to report.
Mayor's Chief of Staff Mike Gentile.
Today, the city engineer, Nick Breidenbecker, and myself spent the morning at Columbus School for their career day. We had probably 16 classes because we had 8 rotations of 2 classes apiece. So spoke to a lot of kids about, you know, our functions with city government, but also how they have access to city government. One of the students said that at Proctor Park, the swings, there are no swings up. So I made a phone call right in the moment, talked to Mark Sokolowski, who apparently worked too much today and isn't here. And we kind of handled it in real time, and it was a cool thing to show how they can utilize, you know, their local city government. And then we talked about good citizenship for them and how they can contribute by, you know, picking up trash and, you know, not putting graffiti on parks and stuff like that. So it was just a good thing today, and you know, with the heat wave coming up, everybody stay cool and do what you can to make sure you're hydrated and doing things to be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. City Engineer Nick Breidenbecker.
I have nothing to report.
And Utica Fire Department Chief Ingersoll.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes the reports of the city officers. Do we have a cash report this evening?
Yes, we have the City of Utica cash report for May 2024 is $39.404 million received and filed.
Thank you. And moving on to petitions, remonstrances, and appeals. First District Council Member Katie Aiello.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. I just want to say tonight is Levitt's Music Series kickoff. So that'll be over at Coppernet Park for the next 10 weeks. On Monday nights, we'll have a free music series, just like we have for the past few years. So thank you to Michelle Truitt and everybody who's making that happen. And it's a lot of fun. Definitely go support it if you can. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Second District Councilman Member Robert Burmaster.
Thank you. I'd like to give a shout out to my grandson. He'll be 9 tomorrow, so it's going to be an interesting day with him tomorrow. And I want to congratulate the baseball team that from East Utica that did so well, Samantha. That was very. Yeah, very good. I saw that on Facebook, and I said, you know, I've been to some games for my grandson, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, but congratulations to you and all the work you do for him. And I hope everybody had a good Father's Day. Everybody have a good summer. Be safe. And that's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you. 4th District Council Member Frank Carcone.
I'm all set.
5th District Council Member Venice Urban.
Yeah, I'll just read off this notice that I just found out about. The City of Utica has partnered with For the Good, Inc. and Phoenix Radio to celebrate Juneteenth with the city's first talent line, benefiting Utica's underfunded Black-led community organizations and youth programs. The event will showcase a number of local performers for the general public to enjoy, and for corporations to donate directly to the community. And that's happening on Wednesday, Wednesday, June 19th, beginning at 1 o'clock right here in Utica City Hall's Hannah Park stage, and that's at 1 o'clock. And while I'm speaking, I want to give a shout out to the Department of Public Works for keeping up with that fast-growing grass that's growing in Johnson Park. I don't know what they sprayed on it after they got done with the construction area and everything, but that grass grows in like 2 or 3 days. It's back up again, so they've been coming every week to mow it. So I want to thank them for that. And that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. 6th District Council Member Joseph Beatrice.
Thank you, Councilman Bitar. So just want to remind you, next Monday night is our monthly North Utica meeting on the 24th. It'll be 6:30. There's going to be a flag raising ceremony before, and then there'll be a couple guest speakers. And the other thing I'd like to wish my mother a happy heavenly birthday. This is her first year that I'm without her, so happy birthday, Graham. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thanks. Council Member at Large Mark Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. President Pro Tem. I delivered the proclamation for Mr. Frazier, 100th birthday up there at Switchbacks on Saturday. And we had a great event, had a lot of people showing up there, and it was really nice. So I thank them from the Common Council for everything. Also, I have a concern, and I'm not sure where to go on this because I'm the minority leader, but I got this card in my mailbox. And it's, you know, I know it's just propaganda or anything like this, but then I always hear third wheel that there was an investigation from the county on this. If Councilwoman Aiello is living in the city of Utica. I don't care about the other stuff on that, that's just craziness. But I'm curious about the residency. And was your Chief of Staff DeGiorgio, does anybody know if there was an investigation? Because I don't want to put a rest to this. I'm just tired of hearing about it.
There's no investigation from here.
No investigation from the county DA?
Not that we received.
Not received yet. All right, so this is all fake news?
There could be something at the county level, but
So can we find out by the next Common Council meeting?
Point of order at this point. I think this is better discussed with different individuals at the time when we get there.
I'm the minority leader, so I have that request. That's all I have.
Council Member at Large Samantha Close Motesta.
Thank you. First, I wanted to state that congratulations to all the graduates from Proctor, other City of Utica school districts and surrounding areas. It's an exciting time for everybody, and it's an accomplishment moving forward. With that said, I wanted to also thank the Utica Little League. The Parks Department did a wonderful job through Mark Sokolowski, and also John Michelini for his hard work through West Utica Little League. We were able to present him with a nice sign to be held up at, to be put up at in West Utica. We also, I want to congratulate our Parkway Drugs Little League team that's comprised of 12 individuals that fought really hard and worked really hard this baseball season. That team is comprised of, it's coached by Rocco Drizzi, myself, and his brother Tommy Drizzi. The players included Aiden Lovick, Anthony Geritzi, DeAndre Priester, Eugenio Whiteley, Giordano Geritzi, Melatesta III, Amari Satchel, Rocco Geritzi, Giovanni Holmes, Rainiel Emanuel, Samson Lumpkin, and Samuel Simon. They did a wonderful job this season, and it really showed how much hard work and dedication that they put in. We had our playoff game last Tuesday. We were successful in that, and then we were also successful in our last game last Thursday in the championship game that brought us to a 12-1 season this season. We won the game against CNY Awards. It was 15-5, and like I said, everyone did a wonderful job. It's the second year in a row that this team has held the championship, and we're looking forward to going on a third year. But they will hopefully be here in the July meeting. All-Stars started this week, so a majority of them are playing a game tonight, my son included, a scrimmage game against another municipality. So I wish them the best of luck through All-Stars, and hopefully we can bring them in for the to honor them with a proclamation in our July meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And Council Member at Large Jack Lemetico.
Thank you. Just, we were supposed to have a community hall meeting on Harbor Point this week, and it's getting canceled. It's getting, we're gonna redo it on the 17th, so we'll have it then if anybody'd like to attend that. Other than that, everybody have a great weekend and stay cool. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on next to proposed legislation that was addressed at the Council's pre-meeting caucus. Starting first, proposed resolution number 1, authorizing the sale of beer and wine to the Utica Center for Development. Be it resolved that permission to sell beer and wine and exemption from the provisions of Section 2-15-43, subsection C, 1, 2, and 3 regarding open containers of alcoholic beverages is granted to the sponsor, Utica Center for Development. The name of the event is the July 4th celebration. The date of the event, Thursday, July 4th, 2024, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And the location is at Proctor Park, 900 Culver Ave, Utica, New York, 13501. Have a motion to introduce?
Second?
Votes, please.
8 yeas adopted.
Hey. Oh, sure, he votes. He's acting president, he votes.
Okay.
Next up, proposed ordinance number 2, ordinance adopting section 2-18-2 of the City of Utica Code of Ordinances, whereas flag raisings and ceremonial events have been conducted on special days by representative members of foreign nations, organizations, and others who are part of the community in the City of Utica, and be it ordained the Common Council for the City of Utica adopts section 2-18-2 of the City of Utica Code of Ordinances. Were we going to move this to committee?
I have a change of heart on this, and I would like the actual piece to be introduced as its form. I think that everybody was in agreement that Section 7 should be removed, and it's no longer a request made to the city. So if that could be drafted and then introduced to committee in its proper form, the way that it stated, I think would be better served for the council, rather than having to go in committee and continuing going after information that is not accurate on our behalf.
Councilman Vidar, if I may. I would like to propose to introduce this into committee. We have a lot of pieces in there that we address, and this is just part of it, so we can keep the conversation going. So make a motion
Sure.
to introduce.
You can't. I already made a motion to discharge. You can't.
We need a second.
So you gotta wait for my motion to finish.
Yep.
So I'd like to make a motion in a second to discharge.
Any opposed? Okay. Call for a vote
And this is
to discharge.
So no to discharge, yes to discharge.
Yes to discharge.
5 yeas to discharge.
Discharged.
Great job, guys.
Okay, moving on to proposed resolution number 3, authorizing sale of beer and wine to the Utica Zoo. Be it resolved that permission to sell beer and wine and exemption from the provisions of section 2-15-43, subsections C1, 2, and 3 regarding open containers of alcoholic beverages is granted to Utica Zoo as the sponsor. The event name is Brewfest. Date of the event, Saturday, August 3rd, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the location is at the Utica Zoo, 1 Utica Zoo Way, Utica, New York, 13501. Do we have a motion to introduce?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second? Okay. May I have your votes?
8 yeas adopted.
Okay, and our final piece tonight, proposed ordinance number 4, ordinance waiving residency requirement for the position of DPW laborer. Whereas the city has conducted an extensive search and advertisement for the position of DPW laborer and is having difficulties finding qualified and hardworking candidates. And whereas the individual currently resides in Herkimer, and whereas Mr. Beach would like to reside outside the city limits, and now be it ordained pursuant to section 2.045 subsection B of the Utica City Charter, and for the reasons cited above, the Common Council of the City of Utica hereby waives the residency requirement provided for therein to permit the appointment of Logan Beach, 613 Ronald Street, Herkimer, to the position of DPW laborer in the City of Utica. Do I have a motion to introduce? Councilmember Lemetico, would you like to be heard?
You know, I can't understand why we can't get young kids in the city to apply for a laborer job in the city. It's not like he's a diesel mechanic or he's applying for a technical job. I think this is a real disgrace to our ability to go out there and find qualified people to work for the city. I'll vote for it, but it's just, I can't understand why we can't get people in the city here. And are we advertising enough? What are we doing to get some kids down here? It doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe next week, or next time we meet, maybe they could explain to us exactly why it's so difficult, and maybe some of the issues, why we can't hire local kids. I mean, it isn't like we have a tremendous employment issue here. There's a lot of people in the city that are unemployed. Anyways, I'm just really confused on this, and I'd like to see maybe an improvement in our ability to go out there and find some people in the city of Utica that want to work for the city of Utica. Just very disappointed. Thank you.
Councilmember Beatrice?
To follow up on Councilman Lamonico's response, sir, I have to agree with him. However, I get calls every day about grass, all different stuff not being done. If you really want to look at this, we'll go back to last year. We had 15 people sign up to work, all set to go, and we had 1 show up. So it's just I think it's kind of the state that we're in. So I agree with you on that, but I'll take whatever help that we can get to get somebody out there to work.
I also just want to add into, to piggyback on Joe, I think that we also only see the fact that we're hiring outside residents, and I think that we've hired city residents. I mean, you've seen Nick lives, who lives inside the city. They just hired 2 laborers that did live inside the city. So I'm just saying that we only see the fact that they don't. And I think it maybe get to the point where they have exhausted all those avenues. So just as in retrospect of how many city residents we have hired versus how many we haven't, because I know that we just hired 2 city laborers inside the city. So just as a...
I just want every person that we can get out there so our guys are, strong without getting hurt.
It's just a sad state of affairs. We can't hire people from Utica.
But we have, just not this one.
Councilmember Burmaster would like to be heard.
I just have one question. I don't see it, but is this just a summer position? Because it doesn't state
It was a
summer.
mechanic.
What's it say?
It was a mechanic. Labor.
It says
It's a
laborer.
parks laborer. You know, I'm not sure,
No, that's
I-
my question. If it's summer help and it's a kid, I understand, but if it's gonna be a permanent person, you know, I take issue to that.
I don't, if I'm being honest, I don't know. I thought Mark would be here or someone from Parks would be able to talk about it. I don't know.
But
I-
there's more vacancies too. I mean, there's a lot of positions that we're trying to fill. I know that they do a thorough.
We gotta beat the bush somehow. We gotta figure out how we gotta get these people hired here. It's just, yeah, but, I mean, it isn't like, you know.
If you look at every store in the area, everybody's looking for help.
I know, these are good jobs.
It is a
A
full-time.
lot of good jobs.
Good jobs. They
It's a
got
full-time
benefits.
position.
Hold on. Corporation Counsel, Attorney Stephanie DiGiorgio.
So I do believe it is a full-time position. I know that a CDL license was required. Additionally, I know just from my brief conversation with, the commissioner, he did say they've set up a ton of interviews and people just failed to show up. At least with this applicant, they told him that he needed a CDL license. He didn't have it at that time. He actually went and got it the next day, got it all taken care of, came back. So he showed some initiative, he showed up. But I think that's a reoccurring theme. I don't want to speak on behalf of the commissioner, but I think that is part of it, that they set up interviews, failed to show up, when they do this search and.
Well, you just don't go out and get a CDL license. I mean, you gotta go to school for it. You gotta test for it. It's not something that you go out and, you go down the block and get one.
But it is a full-time position.
What would the council like to do with this? Okay, do I need a motion? Second?
I kind of agree with Mr. DeMedico on this because I usually refer a lot of people for different jobs in different areas in Utica, and I don't know nothing about this position right here. Now, the last position we'd had like this was something to do with planting in the city, flowers, I think it was, and we had somebody from the outside. And at that time, none of us knew anything about who that was. So I'm not going to vote yes on it because I'd like more information on how the process is going because this is the first time I've seen that there was a DPW laborer's position. And I think that's starting to happen too much in the city recently, that we're getting these things thrown at us that we don't even know who these people are and what they've done to try to get somebody hired. If you have put it out in the city of Utica, I mean, maybe if you start putting it out a little bit more to the right people, because I'm starting to get some funny ideas about who you're giving interviews if nobody's taking it. If you had 18 people and only one showed up, we got a problem in the city of Utica. And we need to talk about that a little bit first before I would vote yes on this.
And I will note, this is a proposed ordinance, so we do need unanimous council on this. So I don't think we had a second to put this to a vote, so if the council wants to.
Somebody from the Skaggs, I know, what am I trying to say though? The union president, the union president stated that he is full-time and he's going to be a mechanic, but he can't hold the position until he gets his CDL, and they do need mechanics. That's what he's asking for you. He said, please explain that.
Oh, you already approved? We approved it? No, this is different.
No, it's the same kid though. We approved him to work in parks. Dave Van Goose.
It's the same kid that we approved to work.
We approved him. Now he's getting.
And he was supposed to be planting flowers, right?
No, these are two different people.
Yeah, they're two different. So when did we approve it?
Oh, we did it.
Oh, I thought you just said we approved it.
Hold on, I think there might be, so the memorandum had two separate names. The memorandum that we received, I believe mentioned Anduzo and Beach. However, the proposed ordinance relates specifically to beach. Am I correct on that, Corporation Counsel?
And I apologize, I was trying to get that
We
down.
approved Venguza a few months ago.
That's right.
So the only ordinance that's before you is for beach. It was an error on my part of drafting the memo.
And that's okay. Just wanted to clarify that we heard two different names there, so this is a different
He's a
person.
new employee.
Yeah,
So this is somebody we hired 2 months ago.
No,
They were
Venguza
given
will
a
be
raise.
hired.
You've hired the other guy, but this is different.
So we,
So I'll just say, I mean, so
We need help.
laborers are an ongoing, always constantly recruiting position. It's posted pretty much 24/7, 360. So we're always hiring labor positions.
Okay.
So I'm definitely, the administration is very adamant. We try and get, Utica people in as much as possible, but we also rely on our department heads that when they say we need to hire somebody because there's a shortage, we gotta take the applicant.
So where are they posting it?
Well, it's online. I know that, things are done through Indeed. I know, LinkedIn is also a possibility. That's where our three main sources are, but I know that the labor position is.
Mhm. I'm just gonna tell you, I work for a workforce investment board, and I look at jobs all the time, all over the place. And I'm telling you, I haven't seen this one.
And it might be something that hasn't reshifted just because it's been posted for a while. So we certainly, I'll talk to HR tomorrow and get that figured out.
And we couldn't find anybody in Utica.
I mean, if it's getting to this point, it's because
Yeah.
of that.
Okay.
And Venice, I do agree with you. I do agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, I think that I've been in a position where I didn't waive the residency on several people. I just know that, and this is the explanation, civil service won't allow us to hire him as a mechanic without the CDL, otherwise they would have, because it's a skilled position.
Okay.
That's the explanation.
and proposed ordinance number 4, we still don't have a second, so we could commit it, vote on it. What does the council want to do with this one?
I think it's up to
I'd like to
Dennis.
see someone come in and explain to me.
I agree.
Would you like to commit it?
exactly how they're going about hiring people. I think there's an issue here, and I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, this just might be a soft spot that we have that we need to fix.
In the past-
And how can we get more aggressive in getting good people working for the city?
I could tell you in the past 12 years that I've been on the council, this is the 4th employee that I've waived the residency for. 4th in 12 years.
And I agree with you, Jack, that we should talk about this, but in the meantime, if we wait tonight, you're not coming to July 17th, and we're losing almost, that's half the summer when we really need help.
A mechanic.
So, a mechanic, to fix our machines and all that stuff. So I agree that what you're saying, and we should look at it better, but I really think we need this guy here.
So this guy is a mechanic? He's a
I'll tell you
mechanic?
something,
Gonna be, yes.
all right? I'll vote for this, all right, I'll vote for this. But I really need, you gotta come back to us to figure a better way to attract local Utica citizens.
You guys waived
You're
the,
not even going through Venice.
you waived the residency for city employees though, way back, last year for the
That
council.
doesn't mean
You
that we
did
should
though,
do it
you
all the
did.
time.
But I'm just saying,
No,
you
I-
did.
no,
So
I-
certain departments have
Hold
blanket
on.
opportunity.
Hold on.
To hire,
Hold on.
as is.
Councilmember Lomedico,
And I
Councilmember
didn't support
Colosimo
that. You
Testa,
did.
please.
I'm just, cause I'm just saying, cause we use, we,
Council members,
but we use.
please.
I'm not here to argue.
Hold
I
on,
think we gotta-
Councilmember Lomedico, please. Councilmember Colosimo Testa, we need to figure out what we're doing with this proposal. It does need a unanimous vote because it is an ordinance. So is there a second to introduce it?
I second.
Okay, so we have a second to introduce. Does the council want to vote on this or commit it to the committee of the
Can I
whole?
say one more thing?
Councilmember Irvin?
I'm listening to what we're saying about, waiving the residency and everything. But that's just, does that mean we just, forget about the people in Utica and just hire somebody from the outside?
No.
I mean, I don't mind, we did vote about the residency thing. But my question is, do we do the long route to try to find somebody in Utica for the position.
I think you
And I
should.
do understand what you're saying about the mechanic and everything. And,
If it was a regular labor, I don't think that we would be having this
yeah.
conversation, you know what I mean? Like, I think that that is true, and I would hope, I mean, I don't have the expectation that your administration would not be filtering through Utica residents before they went to anybody else. I mean, even for the fire department hires, I mean, those have been all city residents. The last laborers, I mean, they just hired 2 laborers in the city, that were city residents.
Mhm.
Just within the past couple of weeks. The only reason why we see this is because it does come in front of us. But I think if you go to the outweigh of see how many city residents have been hired, I think that'll be best case scenario for us moving forward. To kind of give us an update on what you have done.
I got a question on one more, Mike. He doesn't have his CDL yet, right?
Correct.
So how can we put him in a position if he doesn't have a CDL yet?
He's gonna be working as a mechanic, not driving a truck.
But that, I think part of the position says you have to have a CDL, right?
Right, for the mechanic position.
Right, but he doesn't have a CDL
Okay,
yet,
so
so how can we hire him
are
for a
hiring
position that
him-
he's not qualified yet?
They are hiring him as a laborer to
Okay.
get him in the door.
Right.
And when he gets his CDL, he will then be able to become the mechanic.
So we're not hiring him for a mechanic, now it is a laborer.
You are on the road.
We hope. I mean, I'm not-
Yeah.
Listen, I know we need good people, but I'm just worried about that we're not looking hard enough and
Yeah,
digging
we-
down
we
in the
can
city here.
We can absolutely, I will absolutely go and review what our recruitment was, and, you know, like I said, from the administration, we certainly have prioritized every appointed position that he's done has been a member of the city of Utica or citizen of the city of Utica.
We'll see Mr. Urban, maybe he can find some
Certainly
people
is a
for
priority,
you.
and we'd love to.
I'm gonna vote yes on this tonight, but I'm just telling you, in the future, we need to be a little bit more transparent with the common council before we, get to this meeting. And I understand what, Samantha and what, Joe is saying, we do need people, and we need them bad in a lot of positions, but we need to know a little bit more before we, sit down and vote. Yeah, that's.
All right, I'll second it.
If it was up to me, everybody would have
Yeah.
got a second to the city, to
Would anyone else like to be heard before voting, or is everyone ready to vote on this?
I thought we
Okay. May I have your votes?
8 yeas adopted.
9.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to
There
pull
you go.
9. Ordinance number 5 out of, or ordinance number 10 out of committee.
Hold on, could you repeat that, Councilmember Close Matesta?
Ordinance for the sale of the property. We have to pull 3 pieces out of committee. The 2 pieces of property in the, nope, the July and August meeting.
Okay, which piece would you like to start with?
Proposed ordinance number 10, the
Okay.
sale of, the sale of the property.
Do I have a second?
The only,
Okay,
one
so-
thing here, though, that's something wrong here, it says on the front of this 10 and 12, but in the packet it's 11 and 13.
Okay, because there was those are the ordinances for the purchase and then for the sale. So, okay, yes, the sale.
Or is it 10?
It's 10.
10.
Okay, and we have a second on that? Okay. Any opposed to removing that piece from committee? Okay. All right, so this is for ordinance number 10 regarding the sale of property located at 1014 Taylor Avenue. Ordinance approving the designation of Mance Kulpov as an eligible and qualified project sponsor pursuant to Article 15 of the General Municipal Law for the purpose of the sale of 1014 Taylor Avenue, whereas a purchase offer for this property has been received by the Utica Urban Renewal Agency for Mance Koplov, and the developer proposes to purchase 1014 Taylor Avenue to create additional parking for his adjacent property, and the purchase will require a payment of $250, and now therefore be it ordained that the Utica Common Council authorizes the mayor as chairman of the Utica Urban Renewal Agency to enter into a land contract pursuant to the terms and conditions outlined in the land contract in order to sell, which are located in the urban renewal area. May I have your votes?
9 yeas adopted.
All right, wait to pull number 10 out. That's number 12 ready.
Do I have a second? Okay, any opposed? Okay, now ordinance number 12 regarding the sale of the property, ordinance approving the designation of Jamie Keto as an eligible and qualified project sponsor pursuant to Article 15 of the General Municipal Law for the purpose of the sale of 318.74-2-25 and 318.74-2-33 Seymour Avenue, along with 318.74-2-26, 318.74-2-27, and 334 Leah Street, whereas a purchase offer for this property has been received by the Utica Urban Renewal Agency from Jamie Keto, and the developer proposes to purchase 318.74-25, strike that, 318.74-2-25, and 318.74-2-33 Seymour Avenue, 318.74-2-26, 318.74-2-27, and 334 Leah Street, and intends to beautify, add sidewalks and trees by the end of 2024, and build 2 homes to be completed by the end of 2026, and the purchase will require the payment of $3,750, and now therefore be it ordained that the Utica Common Council authorizes the mayor as chairman of the Utica Urban Renewal Agency to enter into a land contract pursuant to the terms and conditions outlined in the land contract in order to sell which are located in the urban renewal area. May I have your votes?
Nine yeas adopted.
You could vote from up there.
Right, and the last one, it would be the resolution number 4.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second
What dates did we decide?
The 17th and 7th.
Oh. Why are they that short apart?
We'll have to, I believe, get a motion to amend.
I'll get a motion to amend that the July date be put on July 17th.
Can we do the July meeting for now, and then the August meeting when it comes closer? Because if we only have 2 weeks and there's not much legislation, then we have to wait all the way from August 7th to all the way to September 14th.
Can't we
That's
just
4
plan
weeks.
for our summers though and do it? I don't care what, we can move it up sooner or something if you want.
But that's what I'm saying, so why don't we wait, why don't we do it the August and then make the determination, do the July meeting and then make the determination for August? That way, if we have business that we have to discuss, we know that we have that much time frame in
I'd
between.
rather know what
That's a
days
long
we were
time.
doing.
1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 weeks.
What do you guys want to do?
I want to know what days we're doing so we can make plans for
I think the
summer.
July 17th meeting.
But
Yeah,
August
no,
as well.
I
Whatever.
just-
I don't care what day in August. I just want to know now.
2 weeks, I mean, that's,
That's what we've done the past few years. We just plan it out for the summer at once.
I'd rather, Sam, let's just do the 17th and 7th. Let's get it over with. If we have to change it, we'll change it.
Yeah, but why, I don't really care either, but why do you put this so close?
that's what I'm saying, you either do it the 17th or the 21st.
17th, I'm not going to be here.
Oh, okay, well, that's.
All
I
right.
can't make the first.
Who plans vacation in the
My
council
granddaughter
meetings?
graduated
I
high
know,
school.
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. All right, I'm okay with that, that's fine. Let's go with the 17th and the 9th.
Let me ask this question. So if we do it the way you're saying it, and you mentioned, if there's no legislation 2 weeks later, we can cancel and push it back?
Absolutely.
Okay, so just do it that way then.
Okay, so we have the motion to amend.
I need a second.
We have the motion to amend to Wednesday, July 17th and Wednesday, August 7th. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, your votes, please.
9 yeas adopted.
Okay, any other proposals that we have in committee? Second? Okay, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.